I want to thank you for doing this. I've been very excited. We've been trying to do this for quite some time.
We have.
You know, and I'm very excited. And today we have Mike Dolce. And real quick, side note, growing up, I knew you as Mike Dolce.
Yeah.
What?
So Dolce is the accurate pronunciation of my father's last name, who he was a first-generation immigrant. His parents came through Ellis Island.
Okay.
And he was the first of his family born in America.
Okay.
So, you know, his parents and I think my uncle, his older brother or sister, I forget now, it's been a while, came over and he was born here and they were Dolces, right?
Okay.
But then, and my dad was a bit of he was running around a little bit. Mm-hmm. He had his own history. Uh-huh. And I don't know this for sure because he passed before I was old enough to ask the question. Right? Okay. He passed away. He got sick. And I mean, we'll get into that down the road.
For sure.
I'm into health and fitness because I saw his health decline.
Right.
But he had been married a couple times before, had a bunch of kids we never knew about.
Oh, shit.
Right. And it was my thought that he actually changed the pronunciation of his name to kind of, this is back in the old days, but pre-internet days, right?
For sure.
Pre-Facebook and LinkedIn stalking.
Yeah.
And I think he was just trying to like change his whole personality, who he was. Okay. Completely moved, changed everything about him, and I think the last name. But then I grew up in, Belmar, more of an Irish Catholic town.
For sure.
My mother was kind of Irish Catholic, and that was the pronunciation. Mm-hmm. And I think he just went with it and let it go. So it's like, and then when I got a little older, we all want to kind of figure out like who we are and family. And I was like, oh no, I'm a Dolce. I'm not a Dolce.
Yeah.
Like that word doesn't even exist, right? It's a Dolce. That's the actual pronunciation name, and it was kind of me reclaiming ownership of my life. And that's my father. This is him. This is his story, and that's to me, it's a reminder of like kind of his indiscretions in a way, but also it was my decision to, own my own destiny, and in a way, I was able to do that when I left New Jersey. Kind of when I left, because everyone in New Jersey knew me as Dolce. Right. But when I left New Jersey, and I went to, Portland, Oregon, I could then become the person I was meant to be. Okay. In a very real way. And that's where Dolce began.
Very cool. Mike Dolce, the trainer, the MMA, four-time MMA trainer of the year. Yes. The game changer of the year by Men's Fitness.
Yes, that's true.
Mixed martial artist, podcaster, entrepreneur, all around just great guy, girl dad, wonderful husband.
Thank you.
Thank you for doing this today.
Absolutely, my brother.
Yes.
Happy to be here.
Yeah, man. And that's interesting because you had an opportunity to go out west and I will get there soon because we got a lot to cover. But you have an opportunity to recreate yourself, right? Yeah. And so that is really why we did this show, or why I did this show, And I admired you from a long time because I knew you when there was still seeds and weed. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's been a long time, man.
Absolutely.
In the 90s, there was still seeds and weed.
It's true.
And
we'd smoke those seeds.
Yeah, we sure did. Pop, crackle, But we celebrate the power of the resilient and remarkable strength of the human spirit here. Yeah. All right. And that's what I love to hear about when people are just in this dark spot and for whatever reason, whatever happens to them, they decide to pick themselves up and just begin. Yeah. Right. And so when I met you, I was in high school. I was a teenager that was very undecided and just going, always suspended, smoking weed all the time, unsure, wanted to do something with his life, didn't know what. And I remember just like talking to you and you were like, yeah, I'm studying to be a tax assessor for the Monmouth County department. And I was like, what? I was like, do you go to school? You're like, no, I'm just studying, man. And I was like, wow. I was like, that's incredible, because I just had no idea about the world. You know what I mean? I had an idea of just like grinding out and and making money, but I saw that, you know what I mean? I saw that in some of the people I was working with. I was a young kid as a busboy. I saw miserable people. I saw alcoholic people. I saw people die from drinking. And I was just conflicted, you know? And so like to see you, it was like you were like one of those people where I was like, wow, like I can do something with my life despite the fact that, you know, I'm smoking weed, you know what I mean? And like I could do something. So, definitely a role model in my friend, your brother's life. And I just think, that's an attribute that is, you know, quite commendable. You know what I mean? And, I'm happy to have you here. I really think it's a great thing for you to be as like where you've been, you know, and like, let's start with, you know, I didn't know too much about your history, you know, your early history.
Yeah.
And, so tell me about like the drive, you know, fitness is your business. Was that your discipline throughout your entire life?
It was, in that I always had an aptitude for it.
Okay.
And I was a smaller kid, right? So I was never the biggest in the class, but I was always athletic and I was always good at sports, but I was never great. Mm-hmm. I was never the best on any team, right? Until maybe I got to high school and I matured and when I found wrestling. But all through the formative years, I was just kid on the playground, play, have fun, kind of do the thing. My dad had a stroke when I was 8 years old. Mm-hmm. And I remember it felt like a normal life going into that, normal lower middle class, you know, typical one car, dad worked, you know, and my dad he trained thoroughbred racehorses.
Okay. Monmouth Park?
And all over. Monmouth Park, okay. Keystone up in Pennsylvania, quite a few other ones. He had a bunch of horses, and he's always a hustler though. Mm-hmm. He's always working for cash. There's always a hustle. He's always on the grind. He's always trying to, like, you know, come home and you throw money up in the air, probably because he won betting on the horses. And other days it's like, you know, fucking no food in the cabinets. But it was a pretty normal life, right? I never felt like we were missing anything per se. And then, you know, I walk home from school. I'm 8 years old. He's laying on the back deck, puke all over. My mom's screaming. She's on the phone, and like ambulances and cop cars. My neighbor next door, Joe Byrne, was a cop. He's there, and they're kind of like, you know, working on my dad. And that was like the last time I ever like saw my dad as my dad.
Right.
From that point forward,
he was a different man.
Hospice.
Okay.
Like massive stroke, eventually a heart attack, wind up taking him out completely.
How long was that from?
It was, honestly, it was like a decade.
No kidding.
It was a grind. And he was just like, he was never able to reclaim his health. And during that period of time, my mom divorced him because a lot of his skeletons I alluded to in the intro came up. Like, she's doing the paperwork of his health care, and there's another name on it, and then disability. Some other lady's getting his disability checks because he can't work. Who is this lady? Oh, it's his former wife. I don't know if they were even officially divorced yet or not. And then there's no child support for us because all these other kids are snatching it up. Like, it was crazy times.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like 8 years, 9 years, 10 years old when all this chaos is happening, right? And his health is just failing. He's just not, you know, able to put himself back together. My mom is going through her own struggles, just trying to keep shit afloat. No job, stay-at-home mom in the 80s, right? I'm 49 today. So this is in the early, mid-80s, right? Just got no job, no real life skills per se to get out there and work. And then that, you know, house is falling down around us, kind of the whole thing. And with that, I developed a work ethic to eat and to escape, I think, what I saw around me. And so at 8 years old, I started working on fishing boats because we lived in Belmont, right? And my neighbor, Stevie Roberts, was, you know, I'm 8, so he might have been 18 at the time. I thought he was a grown man, but he's a kid, right? And he's like, yeah, why don't you come on up and, you know, help me clean the boats? I was like, yeah. So you always... I think back, and you could probably think back to when people show you a kindness.
Yes.
That you might not realize it in the moment, but when you can look back at it and you can appreciate what they really did. right?
Yep.
What's this 18-year-old kid doing reaching out to an 8-year-old?
Right.
And kind of like scooping me up and like putting me under his wing and giving me a little bit of purpose even.
For sure.
Putting a couple dollars in my pocket, right? So it's just this genuine kindness that he was able to show me that I took it and ran with it.
Mm-hmm.
Next day, I mean, I tell you what, these were the cleanest charter fishing boats you ever saw because all I knew was how to work hard.
Yeah.
I'd scrub these boats all day, you know, for $2. They pay me $2. I'd work 3-4 hours from like 2:30 after school till like 5:30, 6 o'clock at night. The guy, the mate, the captain, they just sit there on the dock and they would just get fucking hammered, right?
Yeah.
I'm scrubbing everything and they give me my $2 or $3. So I'm kind of go through that. And then I think where the question was like the whole fitness thing. Mm-hmm. I think because, as I look back now, because I lost my dad, I was always looking for a strong male figure. Mm-hmm. And I very quickly stumbled into strength training. Mm-hmm. And I remember very clearly there was a magazine with Arnold Schwarzenegger on the cover in the 7-Eleven on Highway 35 in Belmar, right? And my mom used to go up there and get a loaf of Wonder Bread and a gallon of milk and like some little, you know, canned like chocolate peanut candy that she always, you know, pick up there. And I remember seeing that and being like, can I have that? And she's like, no, she couldn't afford $2-3 for a magazine. I would just sit there and I would just go and like thumb through it, and I would ride my bike and read it. And that was the beginning. And that's very common in like the fitness world. There's like a lot of, you know, guys like me who like, it was a movie, a Van Damme movie, a Stallone movie.
Right.
It was a magazine. We were bit by the bug. And then all of a sudden, that's where my brain went.
Yeah.
And I couldn't get enough of it. It was a distraction, for sure. Gave me something to focus on.
Yeah.
It gave me a way to kind of channel my energy. But also, it was the strong male influence. Mm-hmm. And well, like that's what I needed so much at the time. That's where it was. And then from there, I followed that path. And thankfully, I had an aptitude for it. Passion, I did have an aptitude. I was an honors math student. I was an honors science student. I didn't really have to work very hard to be that, which was great. But I was always more focused on strength and performance and fitness and then I, you know, stumbled into wrestling and you know, other things that maybe we'll talk about later.
But it was just it was always, and then that discipline carries through, you know, the rest of your life. You did mention to me like at one point you're living in your car. Yeah. Are you living in the car, or is the car like a safe place for you? Like for you to dream, right? Like did some of the first dreams come to you while you're sitting in that car? Like, I'm never fucking living like that. Because I remember one time I was 14 years old, I was a busboy, and I got fucking screamed at work one time. And I remember like walking home, I'm like, I'm never gonna live like this when I get older. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I'm never gonna let anybody talk to me like that when I get older. Yeah. So I was like, is that where it all begins? Is this the moment where you're like, I don't know what it is, but I'm gonna do something?
In high school, my childhood home is completely falling apart around us. There's no heat, no electricity, there's no running water, there's no food, right? Most of my grammar school and all through my high school. And the outside life, I don't know what people knew or thought on the outside, but the inside was completely opposite of what was being portrayed. Mm-hmm. Now, I was a 4-year varsity wrestler in high school, which is kind of rare. You know, I wasn't the greatest wrestler in the state by far, but I was pretty good. Mm-hmm. And as a freshman, I was actually voted as a captain, kind of in charge of seniors. So I'm a 13, 14-year-old kid telling 17, 18-year-old men how to train and to push them. And so there was a kind of like a really cool leadership component that was seen by others in me before I saw it. I was just doing what I do. Let's go and push and motivate and train hard. And I'm there early and I work hard and help my teammates out and kind of I was able to, you know, get a little shine off that. But I'm working the whole time. Now, I went to a Catholic school for whatever reason, because I wanted to, and I think that's stubbornness in me. And I had to pay my own tuition because there was no money. Right. So I don't know, and not that there aren't any, but I don't know of many 13-year-olds that are paying their own tuition to go to high school. Right. When they could have easily just gone to a public school. Wow. right?
Yeah.
So I'm working, I'm getting up early, I'm working every job possible. So I went from that, what was called a dock rat on the fishing boats to I became a third mate and the second mate and the first mate. So I'm like 13 years old. I'm going 2 days out on these tuna trips, 2-day tuna trips on out to the canyon. Any, East Coast fisherman will understand.
Yeah.
I'm fucking 13 years old.
Yeah.
And I'm looking back now. It's like my oldest daughter's 10. I'm like, no way. No way would I ever allow. I mean, they can't leave the backyard. They can't go in the backyard without my dog being with them.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I'm 8 years old and I'm working with these like crackhead, cokehead, meth head, alcoholics. It's the fishing industry, right? Watch Deadliest Catch. Like that's the dudes.
Yeah.
They all treated me great, but I saw some hairy shit when I was there too.
For sure.
And so I'm living this life and I'm working my ass off and I got money in my pocket, but not enough to like, what am I going to move out at 13, 14, 15 years old?
Yeah.
And, I'm showering at school before school starts because I'm a wrestler, because I can like work out and like shower and it kind of seems normal, right?
Right.
I guess, get my workout in.
More of the portrayal.
Yeah. Get your run in and like the movie Vision Quest. And, I was like kind of maybe all fit in.
Yeah.
Maybe. And so I thought, anyway, it's kind of the false reality I was kind of like projecting.
But still a very necessary catalyst to where you are now.
100%.
Right.
And so about the cars is then I'm 17 years old. I get my own car. Again, the house is just, it's not livable, right? Can't have friends over, like no way, like not even possible. So I get my own car, and that's like it was a 1982 Buick. Is it Monte Carlo? I believe it's fucking going back now, right? 30 some odd years. It's such a cool car for me, and that became like my room, my house, my privacy, my safe haven. And I would just like park it out in front of my house. And that's pretty much where like I would go in and use the house when I had to and whatnot for whatever things. But I was in that car more than not. And back then gas was like, 80 cents a gallon, so you could actually go out and drive around, you find a couple quarters and like you get a tank of gas, and drive around.
Yeah.
So that was kind of
a gallon. Crazy.
Yeah. So that was like the beginning of like, or not the beginnings. That was like the high school years. And I was just like, I got to get through high school. I got to graduate.
Yep.
Got to graduate. So I can get that certificate so then I can go and start my life. And that was the thought. Right. So I can start I didn't know what I was going to do, but I didn't have any fear that I wouldn't do something.
That's great.
Because I knew I was willing to work. Yeah. No fear of work. I actually was like begging people to work. Early, late. Give me more shifts. Like I always wanted to work.
Right. Yeah. I felt the same exact way. I felt like work was not a thing for me. The work ethic was instilled in me at a very young age. And I loved it. Like I like you. I like to work. And I had a drive, when I was like, when I left high school, I was like somebody in the guidance office kind of told me like, listen, Darren, you got to start, so I was like, all right, I'm going to go to college, Did you want to go to college?
Well, yeah.
Did you want to wrestle in college?
I did. And so I actually had a few scholarship offers.
Okay.
And I was super excited about it. And I got injured. And I got injured in my senior year state tournament. And I don't know how good I would have done, to be fair. I wound up losing to Steve Brashino, who's from Brick Memorial. I think Steve went on to win it that year. And he beat me, but not so much that I didn't feel like I could have wrestled back and been competitive. I think I was, to speak to, when you get the opportunity to shine, it's very hard. Because for me, I was always insecure because of my upbringing. I was surrounded by losers. And not that I'm calling my family loser, but I was so used to losing. I was so used to bad news.
Yes.
Every phone call was bad news, right? Every piece of mail was bad news. Every time my mom would come in, it'd be the look of bad news, right? It was always bad news. And as hard as I worked, I always expected bad news. Yeah. And I remember when I went out there and I wrestled Steve, and Steve had said, years later, that was the strongest guy I ever wrestled. And he actually said some really nice things about me. And I was like, oh, wow, that kind of validated what I felt going into it. Not that I'm saying I could have or would have won. No, I'm saying, but I knew I could have been competitive at that level without any of the benefits of after school training, of going to any of these camps and clinics. And I never had that because I was working. Right. And I didn't have food. I'm living on like microwave Stofers, that these little plastic tins. And I wanted to go to school so I could eat.
Yeah.
That was my motivation to go to school most of the time. School was easy enough.
Yeah.
And so I could get good enough grades so I can wrestle. I can eat meal, wrestle. That was the thing. So, as, we're kind of going through, actually turned out to be a decent wrestler. And I got some offers. And I wound up blowing up my shoulder. And then it was like, yeah, you're promising, but you're hurt. And a lot of the schools were like, well, why don't you get it fixed and then let's see what happens.
So at that point, it's a full ride because of it?
Yeah. So it was, if I would have had, Seton Hall, which they still had their wrestling program, that would have been most likely a full ride because my grades were so good too.
Right.
I aced my SAT. I took it one time. I think I got I forget what the equivalent, because that's changed a few times, but I got an Ivy League score effectively the first time, because it was math and reading comprehension. Math was so easy for me. Yeah. And then reading comprehension, I'm a writer now in my life. So that I just did well. I test well on that stuff anyway. So I was there, but also at home, to be fair, I found a letter that was hidden. And it was the coach of Seton Hall kind of willing to work with me and help me. And that letter was taken and it was hidden. And, maybe I won't go so far as to make an accusation, but I feel that was hidden out of spite that certain people inside my family didn't want me to exceed or excel. They didn't want to see me move on and have this opportunity, right? So I remember in that position, I was in that spot, and I was like, fuck, I'm hurt. This is torn. I got to get surgery. Ugh, shit. So I went to 3 different clinics to tear a torn labrum and rotator cuff, kind of the same area, complicated enough procedure. 6 months to 2 years, depending on how well it heals. It was see how it goes. And I was working at a GNC at the time, General Nutrition Center, right? And my buddy Frank, who's one of my best friends to this day, he was actually going on to college, and his college was going to cost him $25,000 a year. And I remember this decision. It was this pivotal moment. There's a few pivotal moments in your life. He was going Fairleigh Dickinson. It was $25,000 a year. I remember I was making $25,000 a year at a GNC. And I said, in 4 years, not to him, I said, but in my calculus, I said, in 4 years, you're going to owe $100,000. And in 4 years, I can earn $100,000, and I can have 4 years of experience working inside the fitness industry. And that's what I wanted to do at that point. 1993, 17 years old, I opened my first official training business called Physical Enterprises. Okay. And, and printed it out on just AOL.
Hell yeah.
Up, old school. It was just so janky and old school, but I was in it. Right, I printed up these little, Kinko's cardboard cards, the cheapest cards they could do, and I had to cut them myself. Right, kind of launched that. It was 93. I graduated in 94. Frank, and I was like, "Fuck college. I'm going all in on this. I'm going to make some money, and I'm going to get experience." And I attacked all of the. And GNC was great from an on-the-job training, and I was on that corporate management track, right? Inside there, I sucked all that stuff up, and I realized, I got to a point, this is not what I want to do. Right. I'm not in the gym. I'm not training and helping people. I'm more finance stuff, which I had an aptitude for again. Right. So this is not what I want to do. Yeah. Right. So I kind of pulled myself out of that. I left that job, and I kind of moved on to a different part of my career. And this, I'm 18, 19 years old at this point, right? And these are different conversations that a lot of the young college kids out there have. It's well, I go to school, I go to college, I go now. It's $250,000 in debt. Oh,
it's crazy. And that's funny because we're having an event on August 5th, and it's a lot geared towards that conversation coming from our speakers. Is like, I want the people that are like unsure what to do after high school, the people that are in college right now and don't want to go, people that are creative, people that are entrepreneurial, people that have like, may have gotten in trouble with the law, now have a record and but like are coming out on the other side of that and want an opportunity but don't know where to go with, like that's the people like you with that thought process.
Yeah.
That's who, we're looking to attract because that is such a pivotal moment. Like you said, right? You're like, fuck college. This is what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
So you're working at GNC. You get a little bit of corporate training, right? So there's a lot of, what I've noticed, there's a lot of structure. I had a little bit of corporate training. I got a lot of structure from it.
Yeah.
I also learned how to cold call and how to approach people when they don't know who you are, and be able to talk to them. So some of the stuff that I learned in corporate America has been like really invaluable.
Yeah.
But so you leave there,
Yep.
and you go back into the gym and you start training a lot. What are you doing? What are you doing for work at that point?
So I'm working construction.
Okay.
I in high school, I had worked construction on job sites, and landscaping, construction. Like I said, if you're going to pay me, I'm working. Mm-hmm. I to this day, I run a bunch of coaching groups. I coach coaches and entrepreneurs and business owners.
When you're coaching though, and you're telling people like, are you still talking that dream to other people? And people are like, oh yeah, whatever, dude. Like, go pick. Like, are you faced with a lot of disbelief and a lot of negativity about your dream, your goal? Are you speaking that, or is that yours? You keeping that inside?
No, I am 100% transparent. And when people hear me talk, I believe they believe me because I speak with honesty. Like, I don't care if you like what I say, I'm going to tell you the truth. And for people who come to me, and I've achieved a level of success that most people have not, and I've done it in a very atypical fashion. I've become more successul than I ever planned to be because I did it in an atypical fashion. And this is what I want to teach to people. So when I do tell people, this is my story. I'll say, hey, if what you're doing is working for you, then hey, keep doing it. That's fine. Sure. If it's not working, well, listen to my story and take some of my lessons. This is what I did. And then here's the reasons why. And now let me back that up with some of the science or other social proof of individuals who are, I've worked with multiple billionaires. I've worked with many of the world's greatest athletes, like, many hundred millionaires and decamillionaires and athletes who are just earning massive paychecks, right? So I understand what success is. And there's a distillation of evergreen principles that I've been able to yield over my career and seeing what are the unifying principles that make these people successful. And that's really what I teach. But a lot of that is what I believe I've experienced also that got me, I kind of stumbled into it in a way, kind of intuitive. This feels right. Did that. That's wrong. I got fucked there. I went broke there. I lost money there. Bad relation. Okay, figured that out. This was the way that actually became helpful and successful. So when I teach that now or share this path, the people who accept it and test it, just test it. And if it works for you, then double down and lean into it. But what do you have to lose? You're going to go $200,000-$300,000 into debt for a degree that you're statistically not going to finish. And if you do finish statistically, you're not even going to work in it. Why? For like the whole college thing. Now, if like you're going to be a neuroscientist or an engineer, well, you're probably going to have to go to college. But if you're an 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 25, 26-year-old kid, and you still don't know what you want to do, what gets you excited, what you're even good at yet, fucking work. I work a lot. That's a message that I try to tell like some of the busboys at the restaurant is just like, dude, like one of them is like, I'm not sure if I want to go to college, and I'm like, dude, and I'm like, a lot of them think about, partying and like going to chase girls and stuff like that. But it's like, dude, you don't understand the amount of money that goes into that decision that you're making. And like, you could go to Brookdale, work hard, dude, and travel and party
in Europe, dude.
Yeah.
But you're getting some life experience, which is invaluable, you know, and like you get to find out, mix it up with a bunch of different people, have a bunch of different experience, and find out what fires you up. Because eventually you're going to have to fucking think about it.
Absolutely.
You know, but if you're on autopilot, just constantly getting hammered all the time, it's, you know, for me, like I said, I was driven from a very young age just because like I didn't know what I wanted to do. I wanted to do something. I went to college. Hindsight, probably wouldn't have done it.
Yep.
Loved New York City, got a lot of great experience there. But like I wouldn't have done it, and there was just some things that the gray area that is so important, right? So like you're experiencing a lot of different jobs that you're working. Are you okay with the time when it's happening? Are you okay with the timeline that it's happening? Like, do you want it now? Are you getting frustrated? Like, did you ever get like to that point? Because like I got to a point where I was like, "Fuck," you know.
I'm so frustrated.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think this is part of human existence, and we have to be aware and temper our expectations. I believe they call it the hedonic treadmill. So we're always looking for more. We always want more. No matter what we have, we want more, right? And part of that is a good thing. One of my earlier mentors in finance, he had said, you get to a point with money that money doesn't matter anymore. It simply becomes a point of reference to ensure you're on the right path. And I understand what he means. So the ability to constantly earn more, whether it's your, yearly income, let's say, whether it's your profit and loss statement, whether it's your EBITDA, whether it's your net worth, you always want that number to improve. That's just a scoreboard. Now, hopefully we all get to the point that we're no longer working to pay bills and have food and safety and security, right? It's kind of like that's the first exit point that we should all be working towards, that most people don't understand that. Right? If you're working to pay your bills, if you're working to pay your mortgage, if you're working to buy your food, you are not a free person. You are not yet truly the person you are destined to become because you're so distracted with the hierarchy of needs. We have to fulfill those needs first. And this is where I use the term, this is where you drag lumber. In high school, I drag lumber. On a job site, construction site. Man, what do you, hey, you got any work? I'm happy to work. What do you need me to do? I'll drag lumber. They're like, yeah, kid, drag that lumber. Move this shit, clear this shit. Yes, sir. Yep. I remember this because Dan Gable, one of the greatest American wrestlers of all time, because of the OG, I remember reading Dan's autobiography when I was in high school. And Dan had said when he was training for the Olympics, he got a job on a construction site doing hard manual labor. He said, and I got that job to distance myself from my competitors who were probably home sleeping. He's like, we're all training hard. We all have great coaches. We all have good training partners. We're all doing the same techniques. How could I get better than the Russians or the Cubans? He said, I could instill this work ethic that maybe they wouldn't. So he goes to these job sites and he said, if I had to clear lumber, I would sprint to the pile of lumber. And I would fill up the wheelbarrow and I would move that wheelbarrow as hard as I could and I'd dump it and I'd get to the next pile. So it was this work ethic. And that stuck with me to this day. And I use the term drag lumber. So you don't know what to do. You need to go find a job fucking dragging lumber.
Yeah.
Doing the most menial tasks as hard and good as you can and have pride in that.
Right.
Because eventually you'll learn, man, that job sucks. I don't want to have to do that job anymore.
Yeah.
I need to then figure out how I can move to a different job. What new skills do I need? What network do I need to be a part of? What other opportunities might be out there? But a lot of the 15 to 35-year-old men, I'll speak to them right now, they're just waiting to be the next Mark Zuckerberg.
Right.
They think they're going to sit back with some great idea. They're going to invest in the next meme coin, and all of a sudden they're going to be a billionaire. And that's not going to fucking happen.
Right.
They're going to wake up and their life has passed them by, and they're going to be staring into a very bleak future. And they're going to have to then, at 35 or 40 years old, they're then going to have to start, but they could time compress that if they just begin it as that teenager,
right,
20s, and not party. Go to a JUCO, go to a community college, and just get a business degree. Get a business degree, get a finance degree, get something that you will always use in life.
right.
You're always going to need to understand business. You'll always need to understand finance. Get that 2-year associates if you need to do something, or if your parents forced you to do that so you can still live on their couch for a couple of years. And I'm fine with that.
Right.
In the earlier stages, as you work your ass off 40, 50, 60 hours a week, and you just build this war chest of cash, and then we can talk into what that does from a compounding interest perspective.
Right.
The first money in is the most valuable money you'll ever make. So the earlier you can put that money in, whether it's $1, hopefully it is, because it's $1 or $10 or $100 or $1,000, it's the principal. It's just an extra zero. You're just moving zeros along.
Right.
But you create that habit of working your ass off. Let me jump to a similar topic. I teach my daughters, who are 8 and 10, the 3 rules of money from a poor kid. Rule number 1 is you make money every fucking day. 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, your job is to make money. Why? Because it costs money to live every single day. While you're sleeping, it costs money. For the electric, for the heat, for the air conditioning, for the rent, for the property tax, for the flush of the toilet, for the sheets that you're laying on, it costs money. So you need to get in the mindset of making money every single day. Rule number 2, protect your money and keep it safe. The whole world is trying to steal it from you. Whether it's through capitalism and marketing, or, sexy girls or stupid friends or corrupt family members, the whole world is trying to take it from you. So you need to protect that and keep it safe. Rule number 3 is teach your money to grow. So you make money every day, you protect it and hide it away, and then you invest it. You teach it to grow. You invest it in appreciating assets that create cash flow. And then what the rich people do is rich people never spend their own money. Rich people spend the money their money makes.
Right.
It's the golden eggs you spend. You don't kill the goose, as they say.
Right.
Now, this is so simple that my 8-year-old and 10-year-old understand this completely. They can recite it and give context and explain it. If I ask a 28-year-old this, they're like, huh? They don't get, what about, I got a, perfect credit score. That's a whole nother, rabbit hole I can jump down. We can talk about that stuff. I don't know if that's the point of this show. No. But it's a lack of accountability, a lack of vision. And we spoke earlier about, we know retirement's coming.
Right.
Right. So we know that there's a future. Right. So we should be working for today as if the future will happen, while still enjoying today and having the experiences of today, right? Enjoying the moments of today, but also anticipating, I'm probably going to be here 40 years from now too. So the decisions I make today will dramatically impact my lifestyle, my health.
That's incredible, because you never, when you're young, you never think about that, and it's some people tell you that, as a young person, people will say listen, man, you have no idea. But you never listen until you get to that point and you're like, wow. You know? It's just when people talk about time, when the old timers talk about time, you know what I mean? Whether it's your parents, your uncles, or people you just come and talk, they're like, you have no idea how quick it goes. And you're just like, yeah, whatever, but it goes quick. Yeah. I hate to say it, but it's summer's almost over. Right?
Soon as July 4th hits, I feel it.
Oh, you know what I mean? My father used to say that to me when I was a young kid. Dad, shut up, stop saying,
shut up, Dad.
We just got out maybe 3 weeks ago. Yeah. He's like, you don't understand. It goes like that. Yep. And I'm like, I don't know, but it's true though, and it's if you go back to the time where, which is what we talked about in the very beginning when you were working for the county, the tax office for the county, and you get to a point, where you're like, I don't know, how old are you at that point?
I was in my early mid-20s. I believe at that time I was the youngest sitting tax assessor in the state. Okay. And it was a state job that is mandated to work for individual municipalities. So I didn't work for the town. I oversaw the tax rolls of that town on behalf of the state. And I was the guy that the tax assessor creates the valuations of the property, and then the tax collector comes in and collects the money. So I wasn't collecting money. I was just helping build.
This is what this is worth. And then they come and grab the money.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
Cool. So now, but at that point, you go from, all right, so we already talked about it. Like, you're slowly but surely climbing these steps of your life, right? There's no it's not linear, which I love. No. Man, that's what I really enjoyed about your story the most is it's not linear. And I think that so much of life is that way. It's like, and I personally, when things started to go astray, I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. And I went back to tending bar and I was lost, and I wish, it was a little different, but you keep going and you keep collecting chips along the way. What's the glue throughout the whole thing? It's not linear, right? Your path, but there is an undercurrent.
Yeah.
That takes you along the way. What is it?
And to this day, Darren, it is, I'm still working to keep the lights on. It's the fear that the electricity is going to get shut off. To this day, when the phone rings, I still have that, oh, fuck, it's going to be bad news. Right? And the lights are going to get shut off again.
Yeah.
That's why I still work so hard.
Okay.
Continuously. I mean, I've 3 businesses. I'm just opening a 4th business. Instead of a time that I can probably slow down a little bit and just focus on one, I have to push myself to do more, right? Yeah. It makes me happy. It's the scoreboard. It gives me purpose. My kids get to see dad working hard and building, and it's modeling these life experiences I want them to see and have, right? Sure. And give them that grit and work ethic, which is important as a parent. My kids, they have to work. They have to earn. There's no entitlement inside our household at all. And that's very important. But for me, I'm just trying to keep the lights on, man. And that it used to scare me in a way. And cause back, I talked, Steve, Buscino and the wrestling, I was I was scared of failure. Now I'm not scared of it. I use it.
So when you're at the and you're working in the tax world. Yeah. So and you're like, fuck, this isn't for me either. No. But the mentality is I gotta keep the lights on.
And I got that job because I had the construction background. So I knew a job site. I was starting to apprentice unofficially as a framer and maybe a craftsman. I'm all right. And I'm still strength training. I'm still, being competitive. I'm training jujitsu. I'm powerlifting. I'm still wrestling, because now I can wrestle again. I never got the shoulder fixed because I didn't get 3 doctors to have it. One doctor wanted to do one thing. Another was no, that's wrong. We're going to do this. Another was no, they're both wrong. We're going to do this. I was well, fuck y'all. It feels a little bit better. Until you can figure that out. And I just never went back. So I had that construction background, and one of my training partner at the time, he actually had an in to a job opening as a field inspector in a tax assessor's office in Middlesex County. And he's hey man, you should probably go for that job. I know some of the people out there, and I'll put in a reference for you. And I was fuck, that'd be awesome. It's healthcare, it's vacation, it's all the stuff that you want. It's a real job. Applied, got the job, knew my way around job sites. So now I'm a property inspector for a tax assessor's office, and there's all this education that they offer. So I immediately signed up for the education. I had a great mentor, in the office, Mitch, who's amazing. I have to reach out to him at this phase of life and just thank him. He's hey kid, you should go and do this. You should do, and he was always pushing me to do more. Take another class. There's another class, and here there's another. And I was sucking it up. So I was going to Rutgers. I was going to Monmouth University, and I was going all over the state, Princeton, to get more education. And then I was able to test to become a certified tax assessor. And at that time, I believe it was a 17% pass rate, first time. And it was like a 60 some odd percent second time. And like by the third time, it's like, you pass it. And I remember it was like, they're like, yeah, go take the test. You're probably going to fail it. But like next year, you probably got a good shot. I remember I was like, fuck, man. Study my ass off. And this is like, I think when you remember.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
This is when.
This is the moment where, yeah.
And I'm just living, in this little like, shitbox,
the third floor, man. We called it Wonderland.
Yeah.
Because there's like the kids' toys were all over the place. We're up there smoking weed all still.
Yeah. Not my kid, by the way. I was just renting the attic. And I wound up passing the test, first try, right? And it was like, all of a sudden, I was like elevated. I had this confidence. People looked like old timers were like, because I was like this big fucking meathead, right? A big power lifter dude, like fighter, like, kind of like black eye every so often, but I was like, I was pretty good at math and I understood technology, right? And I was able to kind of like start to systematize a lot of these tax records and kind of start to come up with a different style of system. And I was working a little faster because I was younger and I could like produce more. So I became kind of desirable. And then I was able to get the big boy job, higher jobs. And I was, the sitting tax assessor for the city of Long Branch in my I forget if I was 23 or 24 when I got that job, right? And I think I resigned from that job, which is now kind of taken, to the exit. Get that job. It's awesome. The lights are on. It's a 10-year position, 4 years, and you have tenure for life. Can't get fired, right? It's a government job. Like, you can't get fired, right? And the joke was, it's maybe not PC, but the joke was, their joke, not mine, the only way you get fired was a dead girl or a live boy. Wow. That's what they would say. And I remember being a kid. I remember being like, what does that mean? And one of them, like, had to explain it to me. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
I'll be good.
Yeah.
So get that job. And I love the public service of it. I was a public servant. I loved it.
Yeah.
I could help people. Really, I had the ability to help people. And we get these old timers and their fixed incomes, and they would come in, and there's these different programs, $250 off and a $500 off, and you could help them get their paperwork done, and like, everyone's got to pay taxes.
Yeah.
Police and fire and streets and school, you got to pay taxes.
Yeah.
But not overpay.
Right.
Right. And then as I was in the system, I was like, a lot of this shit is not
cool.
It's not cool. It's politics.
Yeah.
It's whatever you think about politics. It's politics from both sides, the right and the left.
Yep.
It's all politics. And I'm like, this is not, I can't do another 40 years of this shit. And at this time, I'm working in Long Branch. I'm working till 5, I'm coming in a little bit later on purpose because my management style was like, listen, the first half hour of a workday, nobody gets shit done anyway.
Yeah.
They come in, they talk about last night. It's government, right? And you can't get anybody to do anything. And I'm a worker. So if I'm in the office, I want people working, not just fucking sitting at each other's sipping coffee and taking cigarette breaks, and and I kind of was like an unspoken truce of, I'm going to give you guys the first hour to get your shit together, and then I'm going to come in at 9:30, and
we're going to work.
It's out of your system. You're going to be working when I walk in. Boom, you're going to go great, and then you're going to leave, and I'm going to get an extra 2 hours to work alone in the office, which is when I get most of my shit done.
Right,
and then I hop on the train. I go to New York City, and I get the shit kicked out of me by Team Renzo Gracie, some of the best Brazilian jiu-jitsu players in the world and fighters. And, so Renzo Gracie's there, and Ricardo Almeida's there, and Daniel Gracie's there. Like, it's just like a who's who of Jamal Patterson's there, just like throwing names out there. These fucking studs. And I'm just like getting shit kicked out of me in a good way, right? Big, strong wrestler, but I'm like a white belt. Then Renzo, I get promoted to a blue belt by Renzo. It's awesome. And all of a sudden, I'm coaching all these guys. They're black belts, but they saw that same coaching.
Same thing that happened as a young person.
Same loop. And all of a sudden now, And
you're like, wow, but this is different now.
This is all I want to do.
Yeah.
Like, I just want to, they're my people.
How do I do this? How do I do this full time?
Yeah. And like, I'm still because in those days you're like a personal trainer. So like if you want to be a strength coach, well, you got to work at a college, right? And that's kind of like the way the industry was set up back then. You got to have be in a college. You have to be an NSCA, CSCS. You got to have at least a undergrad with like a Bachelor of Science. You got to get your CSCS on top of that. There's like a bunch of shit. I was like, fuck, that's not for me.
Yeah,
I just want to be working with athletes, producing.
And at this time, MMA is like becoming something, right? So it's like, you could fucking get in there with what you already know and be like, oh, this is a space that doesn't need all of that. I am kind of that already. Yeah. This is a place where I can grow.
And it was not, I wasn't thinking or analyzing that. I was here. I was here to just train.
Yeah.
And because I always felt like my wrestling career got ended abruptly. And I always wondered, like, man, I probably could have been a decent college wrestler. I probably, and I believe, because I was able to train with a lot of great college wrestlers afterwards when my MMA career really started. It's like, you know what? I probably could have maybe like sniffed my way to All-American status. I'm not, again, being very humble, but I had the work ethic.
But you feel that way.
If I was in a room for 4 or 5 years and I didn't have all the hell that I had going on around me, and I could just like go to a college campus and live there and work and wrestle and train and be in that environment, I knew my trajectory. Like every industry I entered, I always exited at the very top position, right? That was the goal, and I figured I could get there. I didn't think potentially I wouldn't have been the best in that. Wouldn't have been the best in the room. Like even when I was fighting, I was never the best in the room.
Yeah.
But I was in the fucking room, man, with the best.
Yeah.
Right? And I was called. You're going to be at practice tomorrow. Like, can I get some rounds with you? Right? And these are some of the best fighters in the world, right? Because I was able to be there and push and work. It's more of a mentality and a work ethic than talent, right? Because there's a lot of talented people that just fucking fold. They fold before they walk in the room, right? So being up there with Team Henzo and just seeing how great everybody was, and I had a skill set and an aptitude that I could actually share and make these athletes better. And then they would share, well, here's I'm catching you with that arm bar because you're rolling this way, you need to roll this way. Or you need to like turn your wrist because you're going the wrong way. They would start giving me little techniques. So it was more of just a trade. And I could then start to, hey man, let me help you with that hip flexibility here, or ooh, your diet's you're a little heavy. Let me help you tweak that diet up a little bit. Let me give you some other tips and things. Or your neck's fucked up. Here,
So the diet part of it, is like where the nutrition has really like come into your life.
Yeah,
and that was just like something that you have been doing your entire life, like. And I know that you've been through a bunch of like schooling for like finance and all this stuff. Yeah. Did you for nutrition and all of that? I mean, do you need certifications? Do you need schooling?
Well, it depends on the way you position yourself. To be a registered dietitian, absolutely. And every state has a different rule set.
Okay.
Right. But you can be a registered dietitian, very regulated. You need your 4 years of college. You need to intern. You need to sit for your exam. Like there's a lot that needs to go into that, and it should.
Right.
Because registered dietitians work with something called medical nutrition therapy, where now you're working with sick people who are also taking prescribed pharmaceuticals.
Okay.
This is not for the average gym bro. Right. I have a team of registered dietitians who work for my company.
Right.
And I laugh. I say, listen, I got no college degree. I carry no certifications. I said, everyone here is on paper more qualified than me.
Okay.
But I'm the one that signs everyone's paychecks.
That's interesting.
Isn't that interesting?
That's funny, dude.
And what's also interesting is with respect, I'm the best. When it comes to creating transformative change, there's no one better in the world than me. And I say that because I have the resume of elite athletes over 20 years to prove it.
Tell people some of the people that you've worked with.
Ronda Rousey, most of the world knows. So I worked with Ronda during her entire reign. I think it was 8 or 9 UFC world titles. Yeah. Working just with Ronda through her whole career arc. Vitor Belfort, who is the Michael Jordan of Brazil. Right? He's on the Mount Rushmore of all athletes in Brazil. I mean, I could tell stories about Vitor literally stopping a highway. He got out to pee. We're just driving. He gets out to pee and like off a highway, traditional rest stop. The whole fucking highway shuts down. It's chaos. Mobbed, crazy. Cops have to come. It's crazy. We're driving around in a bulletproof Toyota Camry.
No
right?
way.
Because it's just the way it is. Like the level of fame that he has. Quentin Rampage Jackson, some people kind of know him, was one of the greatest fighters of all time. Chael Sonnen, who's still very out there, very very prevalent. God, these are some of the world champions. Jermaine de Randamie from Holland, who's a UFC 145-pound world champion. God, who else? I was hired by Randy Couture, back in 2004. I mean, he's the natural. He was the original Wayne Gretzky of MMA, to use, other references, or Larry Bird, let's say. So I have a pretty long lineage of working with some of the greatest combat athletes, but also I've worked with the New York Yankees. I work with NFL. I've worked with kind of every major sport, athlete in major sport, and then a lot of Hollywood celebrities, and then a lot of CEOs. And what's funny is the most successful people I work with are names that you would never know. They're so successful you don't know who they are, and I'll never say their name because discretion is very important.
For sure. For your business.
For my business. And what's funny is on that, I think it's funny, and a lot of people in my industry, they're like, oh. And I call them pro hosts. They want to show who they're working with.
Yeah.
You'll never see that in any of my media. You won't hear me talk about it now, other than the public athletes, where I'm on stage with Ronda.
Well, the fact that you were a 2-time Rogan guest, dude, that's
cool. Yeah, I forget about that.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
But he was also an advocate for you because you became under fire, right, for some of the training that you were doing, and he said absolutely none of your athletes have ever used performance enhancing drugs.
Yeah, and that's only because my competitors couldn't understand why I was so successful. So they took it upon themselves to create false narratives to try and shoot me down. Well, it's like, I tell you exactly what I do, and people say, well, that doesn't work. Well, no, that's exactly what we do. We single ingredient, healthful whole foods. That's the nature of the Dolce diet right there. But we do so in a manner that is aligned with what your current goals are, what your metabolism is, what your lean mass ratio might be, what your blood work might say. These individual variances, we kind of accommodate for that, but it's very simple and easy, and we don't follow the prescriptive bodybuilder bro macro program. We believe single ingredient helpful whole foods have all of the vital nutrients necessary for humans to thrive as cellular organisms. Most other coaches think simply in terms of calories and macros. They'll have 0-calorie beers and think, hey, that's fine. Like, I can drink that. Or they'll eat Pop-Tarts because their macros allow it. That to us is poison.
Right.
And our athletes prove it by the way that we perform compared to others. So what is the variance? What is the difference? Well, we actually understand what we as cellular organisms need to thrive in a competitive environment, and we don't obstruct the needs of the metabolism or the physiology. So it's like, I'm not smart. I'm just simply observant. And I use the analogy of Sir Isaac Newton. He did not invent gravity. He simply witnessed it and commented on it.
Right.
That's all I do. I witnessed optimal nutrition. I understand the mechanism. I understand the principles. And then I just comment on it. And then I can explain it and teach it. I didn't create it. I didn't invent it. Newton didn't create gravity. He just oh shit, this is what's happening here.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah. And then you thought that you could take that and implement it to regular folks?
What's interesting about this, Darren, is there's no difference between regular folks and elite athletes.
Okay. They
just have a different job. It's the only difference. And back, I remember when, Brandy's grandma Rhoda, but, Grams are Grams. When Grams was still alive, she had the exact, and Rhonda was still competing. They had the exact same grocery list. Grandma Rhoda was 89 years old. She was going to grandma camp in Neptune City, and she's doing her little water aerobics and her chair yoga and all this stuff, right? Keep the knitting for the dexterity of hands. Rhonda's in an Olympic swimming pool at the same time, fucking swimming hard laps and going to MMA practice. And I created both of their meal plans. Exact same grocery list. Now, The amount of food Rhonda ate was different because different body mass, different individual variances, different goals, but it was the exact same foods. Grams ate a little bit less. She was smaller, right? A little bit less.
Didn't need as much food.
Didn't need as much. Wasn't expending the same amount of calories.
Right.
But the only difference is relative to your performance. That's all. So what are you trying to become? You want to run a marathon or a powerlifting competition, or you just want to be a hot mom or a fit weekend warrior dad. Maybe you want to do a bucket list, road race or an MMA fight or a high rocks thing. Like that is just a 10% adjustment for a very finite period of time. Let's say 3 to 16 weeks. Really tweak it because you're like all in on something. 90% of the time, it's the same basic principles and it's the same basic foods, but it's a more relaxed structure. It's like, so for like my meal plans, my meal plan is all principle based. I don't count calories. I don't manage macros, right? I just eat the same basic foods at the same basic times in the same basic quantities. That makes me feel good. And if I don't feel good, if you feel a little heavy, I go, I've just eaten a little too much of that portion. I can just eat a little bit less of that and I feel great again. Or I step on the scale and I'm same weight every single morning, or I'm a little bit less or a little bit more. And I know exactly why, because I'm eating the same basic food.
Right.
And it's an easy adjustment.
Right.
So it's not a matter of counting calories. Like calories and macros are something that you back into after the fact of eating based upon activity until you are satisfied, not until you are full. Thank you. When we think about that as humans, it's a principle. It's so simple and so easy. And
that's a mind game that I had to get to. You know what I mean? Because I'm always about I would always eat until I was like full, but then I didn't feel great. Especially as I'm getting older, being full just does not feel fucking good.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the shut off of the mind is a part of it. Is to be like, no, Darren, you're not hungry still.
Yeah.
You just want to keep going because you're an animal.
Yeah.
So I just, that is a just a simple thought process, I think.
Yeah.
That it has to be learned.
And for a lot of people to think, there is appetite and there is hunger. One is physiological. The other is psychological. We have a physiological drive for nourishment.
Right.
We must eat to survive. And we will experience that physiological drive. That is our appetite. But sometimes we get hungry.
Yeah.
We get hungry because of socio-emotional, environmental factors. You're hanging around with a certain group of people, all of a sudden you want to have beers or pizza or whatever, the cotton candies or ice cream cones.
Yep.
You go to a certain place. We always eat this here. That's an emotional construct. It has nothing to do with your physiology.
Right.
So for me, because we're all human and we will all experience it multiple times a day, I always ask myself, am I fueled right now? And I think back, well, what have I eaten? I was like, son of a gun. I had chicken, I had a sweet potato, I had a bunch of asparagus, I had, 2 nectarines. I'm fueled right now.
Yeah.
I'm fucking, well, pork roll, egg, and cheeses are awesome.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. When was the last time you had a pork roll?
No, Jesus. Maybe not long after we moved back to Jersey because we wanted to experience, we're back to Jersey again. It was funny because every single time, I think I ate 3 over the course of a few week period of time. And every single time I ate it, I felt horribly sick. It made me so fucking sick. I don't want them anymore.
Really?
I can romanticize about how delicious they are from my earlier life.
Oh, yeah.
But if I eat it, it makes me sick. It's like a beer.
Yeah, I feel the same way about drugs and in my mind, I'm like, oh yeah, dude, that would be fucking great. But then I'm like, what'll happen after that? It'd be fucking crazy.
Horrible.
Yeah,
it's not worth the price. It never is.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But in our mind, we can fantasize the cost.
The cost.
Yeah.
The price cost is something that I had to learn as an adult. Right. The price of something is far pales in comparison to what the cost, of my life and where things certain things will take me, and it's just I know it's a simple and diet, but I mean it's listen, are you trying to achieve a goal?
Yep.
Right. It's going to cost you some of the great days that you've already worked, right? I always would trade, today for tomorrow.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's what kills me, man. You know what I mean? That's what has killed me in the past, and just a hard lesson that I had to learn. You know what I mean?
Yeah, necessary lesson.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't trade anything. Even all the stuff that's happened over the years, I wouldn't trade any of it.
Yep.
Like it's taken its toll, but it's amazing. I just some kid I know recently, just some kid I grew up with. We all partied with in high school and shit, drank himself to death. 43 years old, man.
What the fuck, man?
It's horrible.
Yeah.
All the help in the world, all the hands out to help. You know what I mean? It breaks your heart, man. And it's just like, it just doesn't have to be that way. You know what I mean? Like there's tons of things out there that it just doesn't have to be that way. And who am I? Like, I mean, God's plan is crazy. And I'll never be able to understand or fathom like why things happen the way that they happen.
Yeah.
But they do, and they lead us. I'm a firm believer they lead us to these very points.
Absolutely.
And for doing what we're doing, and I think that you were here to help people, and I believe that I was spared to help people, and I know that we've had a great conversation, and but life is good for you now. So what's as we're closing this out, what are some of the adversities now that you have to get over?
It's the constant pursuit of purpose and service, and it's the slaying of the ego. It's not allowing myself to ever spend too much time appreciating any accomplishment. Like, I'm aware of it. There's many experienced and very successful people in the world, and it's all relative to the individual. But I was able to achieve things that I never thought were possible, and more than I had ever set my goals initially. But I've continuously set new goals. So as I sit here right now, it's like, well, now I have even bigger and greater goals than the one I had a year ago or a decade before that.
Right.
And I went through, maybe in my mid-40s or so, a bit of an existential crisis that some will experience in some way, shape or form, where I had a bit of a loss of purpose. And this actually, maybe interestingly, came, and probably as a result of, after we moved back to New Jersey, because we left New Jersey and my childhood home, right? Let's kind of we'll bookend this conversation. Childhood home was eventually lost. It was foreclosed on by the bank. It was taken over and it was knocked down and literally turned into a parking lot. Literally, right? And I left this one-horse town to get the fuck out of here, create a new identity, a new life, married my girl, we moved across, and we just completely, started from scratch. And then we come out to the other side that we move back to my hometown. We buy our dream house on the nicest street, one could argue, in this very same town, just a few blocks away from the very house I grew up in and despised. Right? And in that first year, I used to go for a walk, and I would walk over to now the parking lot where my house once was. And I would stand in the third parking spot, which is where my bedroom was. And I would just stand there in the quiet and the dark of night to not be a weirdo in the middle of the day, right? And I would just stand there and I would just reflect and remember, right? And then I've made it. Done it, right? My house, the lights are on, no issues, kids, raising a family, life is good. And then for about a year or so, I wasn't pushing. And I lost purpose. And I lost a bit of drive. I had almost kind of gone switched into neutral for a moment. And for me, that's not a good thing.
Yeah.
Because that is regression.
Yeah.
And I could feel it.
Yeah.
And I'm not prone to depression or sadness or self-pity, but I could feel this kind of somberness that was not me, and I could feel it, and I was aware of it. And then I just kind of said, hey, I got to take some time. And I went on a lot of just lonely drives, get a cup of coffee, and I would just get in my car and I would just drive a couple hours, get down to South Jersey and drive all the way up to North Jersey and come back, just thinking. and kind of like not listening to podcasts or music, just like thinking. And I realized like I've fallen to a complacency. I am not serving. And that's what I do best. Like, it's not about building a business or making money. It's about I am not coaching, I'm not serving, I'm not helping. There's other people out there. And as soon as I thought that, I was like, yes, like I need to get back out. And then, because I kind of retired from coaching. Because coaching is very emotionally invasive. It's very hard. And I have kids at home and it's too much. And no travel. But I was able to then switch back on to the coaching. I started to open up my coaching consulting business again. And I started to get clients. And I was so excited. And all of a sudden, I had this amazing purpose. And then with that came momentum. And then I was, my business was doing well. And then it just went even better. And then my coaching business then took off. And then not longer after, I decided I'm going to launch a new business, which is this supplement company. And that's actually taking off and going extremely well. So it's making sure we constantly have purpose, especially as men. Like, we are conquerors. Men need to conquer. We need to get out. We need to do. We need to build. Like, we have to. And you can do so in a very honest way. And I've associated my success with the success of others. And it's very selfish of me. If I can make you successful, it makes me feel good about myself.
Sure.
And I get that.
Yeah.
But that's okay. Like, I'm happy with that trade.
Yeah.
Right? So the more people I can help be successful and live the lives that they were destined to live, I can then go to sleep at night and feel good and wake up super excited because I feel good because I'm successful, but I'm helping all these other people be successful. Instead of, there's a lot of people out there who their whole focus is on making themselves successful at the expense of others, especially in the fitness industry. The fitness industry has turned into just sleazy cold call marketing. Right? Just trying to steal people's money, get their money up front, not deliver. Here's a chat GPT, an AI macro basic template program they just shove over to people and they sell it simply because they're on steroids and they look great or they got a nice ass, right? And they can sell their little booty building program. That's all just AI or it's stolen from somewhere else. Right? There's no purpose in that. There's no value in that. So the point, I think, is we have to have purpose and we have to push ourselves and we have to extend our boundaries. And in order to do that, you always have to feel a bit like an imposter. Because I feel like an imposter today because I'm trying to push myself to become something that I have not yet become, and I'm not comfortable here. So I'm trying to be even more than I was yesterday or the day before. So it's having that type of feeling inside. Well, that should then be the fire that keeps us sharp and propels us and keeps us excited and motivated. Contrarily, the person who lays at home and just watches TV and turns on their porn or does their little routine and goes through their day, that's the person I'm worried about. Yeah. Right? Because there is no purpose in that. And it's
I think that's the important part is the people that you can reach. Like, that's, a part of like why I do this is because I want people to know that like when things started to turn for me, when I started to get better, when I got clean, like I need you to believe that I had nothing, you know what I mean? And I was like in and out of the hospital, I was on death's door, and I want people to know that like you can put your life back together, and that I'm putting my life together slowly, not in a linear way, but surely. Yeah. And I have no idea where it's going. Yeah. But I'm moving forward.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Yep.
And that's exactly I couldn't thank you enough for this was a great conversation. We could talk for hours. 100%. And I really I feel very inspired and motivated by our conversation today, and I couldn't be more grateful. So thank you very much.
Oh, I appreciate you.
And brother. Then in closing, though, what is your message to anybody who's struggling and just can't get out of their own way or just doesn't know what?
I had a call last night, a men's group, right? And I started the call in a very simple manner by asking the men, like, are they where they want to be in life? And if not, why not? and let that hang for a moment. Because are you where you want to be in life? And if not, why not? And everybody knows why not. You fucking know.
Yeah.
Okay. So now, be aware of that, and that's okay. And then I want you to take a moment and shut your eyes and breathe deeply and say, I'm sorry. Sorry for all the harm you've caused. Sorry for the people you hurt. Sorry for the accidents you had. Sorry for the selfishness. Sorry for everything. And then take another deep breath and say, I forgive you, and forgive yourself. Because from that moment on, now it's over. You've acknowledged it. You've taken accountability for it. And you've forgiven yourself. But your penance, motherfucker, is going to be now you must become the person you most want to be. That is your penance. That's your rosemary. Or your rosary, your Hail Mary, your Our Father, your act of contrition. Your penance now from this day forward is to work with all of your effort and all of your might to become the person you were destined to be, you most want to be. And you will not be there. The only thing you have to do is in every situation say, what would he do in this situation today? And do that. So the person you most want to be, no matter where you are, laying on your couch right now, woeful, sad, lonely, scared, tired, whatever it is, yes, that's fine. We've been there. It's okay. But that's not who you are. That's not who you're destined to be. You are destined to be that next best version of yourself. So what would he do right now? And just do that one thing and let momentum take over. And then just follow that through. And that's all we need to do. Don't worry about anything else other than what is this next best thing I need to do that he would do in this exact situation. And that's how we become that version.
Hell yeah. I love that.
Yes, sir.
It's a lot, but and that's that can be like overwhelming, but it's just important just to become that person on a daily basis, right? Like you talk about like earning money while you sleep, it's important that constantly do something to grow. And that's for me, some people don't want to live like that. That's totally cool. But for me, I have all this inside of me that I have to continue to slowly but surely to do. And sometimes I need help in doing that and getting there. But with what you said, I'm with. I love that.
It's the drive. Because what's the alternative? Regression?
Yeah.
That's
plateau.
Plateau
is worse.
That's it.
Is worse for me.
Plateau is regression.
Yeah.
If we're not moving forward, we're moving backwards.
For sure.
And then it has to be this internal drive. And we're going to fail. Mm-hmm. We're going to fail every fucking day, but failing is learning.
Yeah.
And that then makes us better.
Yep.
So let's go.
Yeah.
And with that, there's energy. Mm-hmm. It's like in the gym, man, you fail. Every time you go to the gym, you fail, right? You go to the wrestling practice, you kick your fucking ass, you fail. But you always show up better somehow the next day. Like I failed all day and I showed up better the next day somehow. That's life, right? And just most people, they take it too seriously in that they're too deep into their own head instead of just saying, fuck it, and going and acting.
Yeah.
And just go. Right? That's the only thing I wish people would do is just get out there and go and try. Get the fuck off the couch and go and move and try and push and fail and figure it out. Mm-hmm. Right? It's okay. Yeah. What do you need?
Yeah.
You got a little bit of water or place to lay down. That's okay. That's fine.
Yeah.
Right? And then we build from there. And it's all about momentum over time. It's compounding interest over time. That's the game.
Hell yeah, man. Fuck yeah.
Yes, sir.
Well, thank you, my man.
I appreciate you, Darren. Absolutely, this was fun.
I appreciate it. Yeah, it was great. I honestly, we'll probably have to do part 2 of this.
Yeah, absolutely.
I
would love to. 100%. I love your interview style. You're an excellent interviewer.
Thank you.
Easy conversation, and it's why Rogan goes 3 hours.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like
exactly
when you have that.